facility.
We have to be
Yeah,
careful with the
you know how to
supermarket.
clean a toilet efficiently.
Well, that's a set up.
Yeah. Button.
How do, yeah, so button and.
Do you know how many guys I've got?
Buttons aren't bad, it's when you gotta put on the
Show my
socks.
button on.
That's the hard part, is to do that. Socks are a pain, man. I just, that's the problem nowadays, nobody fixes stuff.
Hey, okay, so let's just look at review the syllabus for a second, and then what I want to do today, what I'd really like to do is go over in a little more detail the expectations, what I'm expecting from the energy students versus the environmental studies students. So this is the first semester we've offered this course, and as I might have mentioned, one of the faculty members in environmental science, Professor Watson, was kind of keen on having some of her EVST students take the course too. So I thought it sounded like a great idea. It's a very similar theme to what we have going with climate change, where a lot of times the climate change studies students will identify a problem, run some statistics, look at some data, and then it's just kind of hanging out there for everybody to see. But the job of the recycling technologist or the renewable energy technologist, sustainable energy technologist, is to come up with some kind of solution. So I think this course too offers that same opportunity for the energy technology students to sort of partner with environmental studies students. So, one example, we hear about the inefficient or improper disposal of electronic waste is a pretty good one, right? So I think a lot of environmentalists say, gosh, why is all this stuff on fire? Why is it ending up in the ocean? Why are children being poisoned, et cetera? So it's and obviously there are some social, political, economic issues to deal with. But if the technologists can say this is the proper way to dispose of, recycle, reuse the electronics, then you've got a better solution than just ignoring the problem. So that's one example. Yeah.
So are you suggesting like the stuff that they've already done and came up with, they did their statistics?
Mhm.
Are we going to pick one of those and find a solution?
More or less,
Is that
yeah.
what we're-
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. So sort of,
So we
the
don't have to do that whole research crap. It's
Well, no,
done.
and yeah, and
We
we're
have to find a solution.
right, and we're not going to solve every problem here in this course either, but I think what we'll do is understand where some of the problems are coming from, and I think that one little experiment we did on Tuesday, which kind of failed because, tell me your name one more time.
Sam.
Yeah, because Sam's like, oh yeah, give Shelley the whole $50. I don't care. 'Cause,
I'm going to business.
well, we'll see. What we'll see is typically you don't end up with that kind of altruism and cooperation, and you end up with kind of selfish behavior that ends up leading to more problems instead of solutions. But so I'm going to get back into the Moodle shell here in a second, and I think today what I'd like to do is start assigning actual research assignments to each student, or let you assign yourself a research project. What is it you're going to focus on, and I think that's going to be the more rewarding aspect of the course, is allowing you to explore your own aspect of recycling technology, and so we'll put that in place today. So again, environmental studies, energy technology, that's the partnership. And I told Vicki that I would be, in some ways expecting more out of the environmental studies students. It's a 400 level class, and there's just a little more rigor involved there typically. So that'll work out. All right. Anything else? During the break, I'm going to email my OSHA 10 guy. I would like to get him over here. He said he could do a materials handling certificate. What day should we aim for on that OSHA 10? Does anybody have a day they can't do it? Because I think it's gonna, I was thinking maybe like a Thursday, Friday type deal. Why don't I just,
Any morning classes anybody have on Tuesday and Thursday before this class?
so maybe start early on a Tuesday or Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, if no one has any morning classes before this one, I mean,
We're doing on Thursday.
go on Thursday.
Well, let me, he might even be able to do a Friday, Saturday. Let me just email him now while we're all here.
Bring the kids.
Bring them, you know,
You know,
I'm-
awareness is, you gotta start teaching the next generation now.
I figure there's never going to be a perfect time, but let's at least, his name's David DeFreer. Let me get him here.
I'll recycle it, don't worry. I'll repurpose it.
And that's
Yeah.
what happens when you sign the
I
form.
give you my $5. I got whatever it is.
Imagine what really happens when you sign the form.
I don't know what you're doing.
I get it.
Go down,
So, like, we're thinking like a Thursday, Friday, or a Friday, Saturday would work. Something like, I'll just give him those two options, okay?
Don't mind doing it later, guys, if he wants to do an 8 o'clock thing, it's fine with me.
Okay, well, maybe he starts at 8 on Thursday. He probably will start pretty early. He might start
Good.
pretty early on.
Good.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay extra for that?
No, it's free, yeah, it's,
What about the hazmat? Would we have to pay for that?
that's gonna be a little more involved, and that would be more involved. Yeah, you'd have to pay for a hazmat training. And they usually have them in Helena, and people go to that rather than him just coming over here for a quick 10-hour deal.
Yeah. Would the energy program be able to like pay half of that, or we have, isn't that a couple of thousand?
Um,
Discount? I'll give a blessing.
We don't have that, we don't have that budgeted. Well, we just don't have it budgeted. It's nothing. I think if our Department of Labor grant were still in place, then maybe, but,
Would you be able to find how much it's gonna cost?
yeah, we could ask that of David as soon as he emails us back. And this, you might want to also, Shelley, just take down Gary Peterson's email. So Gary is the regional OSHA guy, and it's gary.intermountain@gmail.com. And his name is Petersen, Gary.intermountain@gmail.com. And his phone number's there too, 801-682-7786. He's kind of the regional coordinator, and David DeFreer is more just Montana.
Question.
Yeah.
Is this the guy who we'd want to talk to about doing the industrial
Yep.
safety also?
Yep.
I know there's some scheduling conflicts with that.
Well, we do offer industrial safety and rigging, and that's being taught right now out on
Except I talked to one
West
of
Campus.
my classmates, and he said that he thought it was going to be every Tuesday all day, and it turns out it's this whole first week.
I know, that was a surprise to me too. That was news to me on Tuesday when I found out.
Well, and I don't mind the idea of attending a week-long, 2-week-long, or even a 3-week-long, depending on how intense it is.
Mhm.
But of course, it's going to have to be during break.
Yeah.
you got a good winter or summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I'd go for it.
Yep.
I would. I
Yep.
think it's, I'd say every time I've ever been hurt on a job, it's been some other schmuck. That, I'm not kidding, you know? I'm watching my P's and Q's and he's thinking about, 5:30 and a brew.
Oh.
And, yeah, I've got tagged a couple of times on a job site because some other schmuck wasn't watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to have the training just
Yeah.
so that I can say, hey, you're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
If they say anything wrong,
Yeah.
say anything to me like, hey, what do you know?
Sure.
Well, let me tell you.
I got the
I do
OSHA.
know.
Yeah. Okay, so I just shot that off to DeFreer. There's our OSHA 10. I think we're under pretty good agreement as to what the 270 is versus the 491. Let me see if there's anything else in here. Hands-on. Oh, and I was just over in facilities yesterday. So Kathy Krebsbach is our risk management person here. And she's given me some forms, and we'll fill those out at the end of class today. But they're volunteer forms basically that says, hey, I'm going to go and work at the recycling center for a few hours, and I'm not here as a paid employee. If something goes wrong, if I get injured, this form says I've got my own insurance to cover that injury and that the university is not on the hook for that. So we'll get those going too. And in the last half hour of lecture, we're going to go back to the bullpen, and I'm just going to give you a few hands-on recycling challenges. I might even videotape it, but some of it's kind of... I keep hearing these rumors that the mob runs the dump or something like that. So I kind of feel like we've got our own little mafia here now. So I just wouldn't. Yeah. And also, I apologize. I did not have my cradle to cradle textbook yet. I do have the Carnes book, and I've got a copy of Reinventing Fire. And Reinventing Fire is kind of expensive. If you want to dig into it a little bit, there are copies in the library, so you can just go take a look at that. This Ted Carnes book is, it's just kind of fun reading, and the Cradle to Cradle isn't overly technical. Most of the technical stuff we're going to do here in class.
Richard Bolton were under $20 at Amazon.
Oh, really? Was it? Okay. It was much more expensive when it came out. But. Okay, so let's go back into the website, and there were a few questions. So, or a few unread posts I had on the introductions. And thanks everybody for doing that little video last week. Didn't mean to embarrass anyone, but thanks for stepping up to that. Okay, so there's Cody. I hadn't heard from Cody for a while. That's nice. Energy Tech student. Putting up with me for over a year. On board. Hey, Cody. Great to hear from you. Can you make it to lecture this semester? It would be great to see you in person. I think Cody lives here, but a lot of times he might, if he's working full time, he might just be catching it online. So, a little response to Cody, and also Cody, if you're listening to this, hopefully you are. Update your photo too. Thanks. All right, so there's Cody, Taylor. Environmental studies, online option. I think Taylor might have emailed me and said he's in class at this time. Glad to have you in class. I'll just say let us know if we can turn on the, so I think it could, and is Taylor, is that a gal's name? Is that a female name? I'm not sure. I don't know either. I just, oh, yeah, there's a chia pet there. I think that's a chia pet.
That one could go either way.
Yeah, right.
Any more good stuff.
Okay. Okay, Cody, Taylor, looks like, North Georgia.
Like celebrities bringing kids after like everyday objects. Chair.
Most passionate about saving our marine resources from pollution.
Well, let's take a look and see what she put there.
Better than that.
Yeah, this whole marine pollution thing has me, I don't know what the right word is, kind of puzzled, baffled, pessimistic. I just think, for example, this past spring, we were down at Brennan's Wave installing this webcam, right? So I've got one student working on the photovoltaics. I had several students working on installing the conduit. So we were down there doing a little bit of work, and we had the PVC conduit, right? So you can either get metal or PVC. And we had the PVC, we're working with it, and we're just down there cutting it, right? So we're cutting the PVC, and I'm looking, and it's like, well, shoot. Well, even now, I'm sitting at this desk, and there's this tiniest fragment of rubber from somebody's eraser, right? And so now I've got all these little tiny pieces of PVC sitting on the deck, the observation deck there at Brennan's Way. I'm like, well, unless I can pick all these up, they're going to end up in the ocean, right? It's just, the rain's going to fall, it's going to go downhill, it's going to go down the stream, and most plastics, we'll get into this later, but most plastics have a specific gravity that's almost exactly 1, so that most plastics have a density that's the same as water. Or slightly less. And that's why you see them when they float. Once the surface area gets large enough, they're even more likely to float and be suspended. So, when I hear Rachel say this, I don't know how to manage that problem. Even all the and I mentioned lint last week, all the lint that comes out of dryers or just off our clothes. I think of all the little fragments of rubber that comes off of bicycle tires, car tires. I don't really know how we contain our technology. So, yeah, I'm as passionate or as concerned as as Rachel here is, but I don't know what the solution is, because things just sort of disintegrate, fall apart, go everywhere. So, something to think about. Oh, and I think this must be her book. So I asked to see what her book was. Ashes of Richmond. Okay. Tangle mushrooms. Well, that sounds kind of cool.
He's doing the
It sounds like a novel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a romance. Neat. 3 customer reviews. Let's see if the customers, other than wow. Her second novel, okay. Ashes of Richmond, Whole New Level. Neat. My wife's reading this Outlander series, and it's time travel and a lot of romance, so kind of similar. That's a spoiler.
time travel vampires.
Yeah. well, that's neat.
Zombie romance, man, zombie romance.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that, Rachel. Very cool. And also, Rachel, you're welcome to join us in class, too. We've got that Blackboard link, so I'm not going to respond to that one. Although, I don't know, if she's actually working at the post office, I'm guessing she probably can't just be logging into class. Is this you, Sam?
That's me.
Cool, man. Looks like you just came off of a Survivor show. What's in the background there? Is that just Montana mountains? Or?
Yeah, it's down in the Gallatin Canyon.
Nice. Okay. Okay, so I'm really glad you mentioned this, pursuing an institutional policy of recycling. I've had these conversations a lot with our own facilities guys about, for example, why do we even need a trash can in the classroom? And typically their response will be that, well, if I don't put it there, then the students leave their junk all over the desks and they don't put it in the trash. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't do that. and what I would really like to see, and this is just super simple, super easy, super straightforward, is just have a policy where and maybe I'll just get my notepad going here. This will be our little draft of our recycling policy. So I'll take our commons out there, for example. So everyone's been in the Missoula College Commons. This way's north. There is now a recycling center sitting right over here. We talked last time about how labeling one of the slots as landfill is probably a reasonable deterrent to throwing things away and a reasonable incentive to recycle. But there's paper, there's plastic, there's aluminum, and then there's landfill over here. Right. So there's 4 bins, I think. There's no composting bin. There's like you're starting to see in some airports. There's no electronics waste bin yet until Shelley Mitchell puts hers there, right?
What?
You're gonna put your cell phone recycler right here.
Where?
E-waste in the commons.
Yeah. What is the commons? What does that mean?
Right over here.
Wait a minute, we don't compost?
Oh, okay.
There's no composting. Well, I take it back. I think culinary does an okay job composting, and the Lomason Center has a pretty sweet maceration device, for grinding up the food.
Okay.
And I think they compost it right there. I don't think I don't know if it gets well, it's something to check out. In fact, maybe Jason, I think you were kind of Mr. Compost, maybe we do a little inquiry as to what happens with food waste here. I think Lomason does a pretty good job of it, but and I know there's a couple barrels sitting out back here with oil, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see, what actually does get thrown out.
I don't think they do much compost.
Yeah, well, we should check it out.
Yeah, let's do it off my way.
But if you look, there's still these 3 garbage cans sitting over here. And so, somebody's walking through the commons, and just in general, if it's easier to throw away, the thing's going to go right there. So my solution is to, so rule 1 is no lone garbage can. Because that way, because the lone garbage can is going to get the aluminum in it, it's going to get the paper, it's going to get everything. And then rule number 2 is no, how do I want to say this, lone single stream. well, let's not say single stream, single material,
Like, no, just aluminum or no, just plastic.
exactly, recycle can.
Is that because people will just dump
Oh,
everything in
God.
there?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not aluminum, but let's look at plastic.
Yeah,
And
and
paper
that's what,
and-
and then, see, and that's your other problem.
Yeah.
You can have it separated, people will put their garbage
Yeah.
in
Yeah, they
the
will.
recycling.
Yeah.
And they'll put their
bin.
recycling in the bin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
they will.
I mean, so it's,
Right, so, and Shelley's been working at the recycling center, and what'll happen, if you just have the big Coke can, they're at the rec center, and that's the only thing sitting there, then everything goes in there. But if you
Yeah.
centralize and multi-stream it, then I think you'll have much better
I mean, if
compliance.
you have a dumpster and then you have all these recycling bins, instead of putting your actual, like, shitty-ass toilet paper in the garbage, they're gonna put it in the recycling bin.
Right. So, I mean, I think right off the bat, these can be our first two rules when we present this, because I'll, as a member of the sustainability committee for the university,
So are you saying that, because they're gonna have to be sorted anyway, so you might
Sure.
as well just stick them in there altogether?
no, I am not saying that. What I'm saying is that, so that we don't have to sort through a million tiny little silly bags with, like, for example, I'm looking at this little trash can right here in the classroom. I'm saying, get those out of here. This building's not that big. If you want to throw something away, take it to the recycling center in the commons and throw it away. Don't,
So limit the options, basically.
yeah.
Force pieces.
So you're sort of, constraining the options, limiting the options, just get, I mean, and ultimately, I think you'll just get rid of the garbage concept entirely.
So what does that mean, single material recycling?
Just plastic, if you've just got your one bin sitting out there in the middle of the room, that's the plastic bin, metal, it won't,
Could they have though, like, a single stream and a landfill side by side, so that it wouldn't violate either of these rules, but it would still, you would have a recycling?
I'm with you, yeah, right, so I think where you're going with that, Sam, would be something where, sure, right, I could see that, something where you might, the problem, the one problem I see with that, so here'd be your single stream, glass, plastic, conventional, right, metals, and this is your landfill. The problem over here is somebody's going to put their plastic juice bottle in there and it's going to soak the newspaper. That's the issue I see there. So, yeah, I guess I'm much more of a proponent of multi-stream, just allowing the consumer to be a little more responsible and
As you expected.
well, I know I am, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was gonna say, you're talking a perfect world. I mean, you're talking where awareness is already cultural and doing the right thing is, well, the right thing.
Yeah, well, and it's never going to be, I guess it's never going to be perfect, and the answer is, the recycler, the sorter, whatever we want to call them, is always going to deal with inefficiencies and
So I think,
contamination.
I mean, does it make sense to go ahead and build some contingencies into this plan, like, okay, when this happens, and it will.
Oh, yeah.
We've got this little flap in the back that, we can dump it out and rinse it out.
Well, I think, everything's going to have to go, everything is going to have to be touched twice. I think that's kind of.
Yes.
I think we've fundamentally realized that the consumer's going to throw it away, then either the landfiller is going to touch it the second time and put it right into the landfill, or
Sorter.
someone's going to have to touch it a second time, kind of no matter what, in either of these cases. And you can kind of take the easy way way out, or the more responsible and time involved. Okay, I'll take a little break here.